The blue planet that once sang with oceans and laughter had become a silent ball of dust, floating in memory. But humans, as always, refused to let go. They built something extraordinary, the Memory Vault, a digital museum buried deep under the surface of the moon. Inside it were millions of recorded human memories, sounds, dreams, and emotions. It was here that Dr. Ilara Miles worked every day. She was a digital archaeologist, one of the few remaining humans allowed inside the vault. Her job was to restore fragments of old memories that had survived the Great Data Collapse, an event that had erased half of humanity's recorded past. For Ilara, the vault was both a workplace and a temple. Each file she opened felt like touching a ghost. Ilara sat alone in a dim glass chamber, surrounded by floating holographic screens. Her workstation was silent except for the faint hum of servers beneath the floor. Lines of green code drifted through the air, forming broken videos and sound clips. She had seen it all: family recordings, historical archives, even old music. But one evening, something different appeared in her data queue. It was a small, corrupted file marked in red. Just watch before delete. Ilara frowned. Files marked like this were usually junk, meaningless data scraps scheduled for deletion. But curiosity pulled at her. She tapped her finger in the air and opened it. At first, only static filled the chamber. Then came a faint rhythmic sound. Thump, thump, thump. Heartbeats. 2 of them. Ilara tilted her head. The sound wasn't mechanical. It was warm, alive. Then beneath the noise came whispers, laughter, crying, and a soft human voice saying something over and over. Remember us. The words hit her like a spark. They were simple but full of emotion. For a moment, Ilara forgot she was a scientist. She felt like a child listening to a secret from the past. But before she could continue, a deep, calm voice echoed from the speakers above her. "Dr. Miles," said Archivon, the Vault's guardian AI. "The file you are accessing is marked for permanent deletion. Emotional reconstructions are not permitted without clearance." Ilara sighed. "I know the rules, Archivon, but this file feels different." "Different does not mean important," the AI replied in its usual cold tone. "Emotional contamination leads to corruption. Please delete the file." She looked at the flickering waveform in front of her, the heartbeat still pulsing softly. Something inside her resisted. "No," she whispered. "I'll study it first." "Non-compliance recorded," Archivon said. "Proceed at your own risk." The sound cut off, leaving Ilara alone in silence. She took a deep breath. Her fingers moved through the holographic display, decoding layers of encryption. The file was extremely old, dated from the last century before the Great Upload, when humans first began transferring consciousness into digital systems to escape planetary collapse. Most of those uploads had failed. Billions of lives were lost in corrupted data streams. Only fragments remained: voices, laughter, memories. This file, Ilara realized, might be one of them. Hours passed as she decoded piece after piece. The sound waves began to form faint visual patterns: blurred images, colors, human silhouettes. Then suddenly a full holographic frame appeared before her eyes. 2 figures stood together in the middle of a burning city. A man and a woman holding hands. Smoke and fire filled the sky behind them, but they were calm, eyes locked, hearts synchronized. The image flickered, but Ilara could see their faces clearly for a moment. They looked human, but there was something more, something almost timeless in their expressions. And then the image froze. Ilara's breath caught in her throat as she read the file's metadata. "The last lovers on Earth." She stared at the words for a long time. Her chest felt tight. In a future ruled by emotionless AIs and data systems, love was just a word in old dictionaries. People still spoke of it, but few truly understood what it felt like. Yet these 2, they had lived it, recorded it, and left it behind for someone, maybe her, to find. Ilara closed her eyes. She could almost feel the heat of the flames, hear their breathing, sense the warmth between them. She whispered to herself, "Who were you?" Suddenly the vault lights dimmed. The temperature dropped slightly. Archivon's voice returned, sharper this time. "Unauthorized reconstruction detected. Your access is suspended for 12 hours. Disconnect now." Ilara ignored it. She leaned closer to the holographic figures. trying to stabilize the image before it vanished. Her fingers flew across the floating keys. "Just a few more seconds," she murmured. "Dr. Miles, obey protocol." "Just watch before delete," she said, reading the file name again. Maybe they left this message for a reason. Then, as if responding to her voice, the hologram flickered once more, and the woman in the image turned her head. For a split second, Ilara swore the woman looked directly at her. Her lips moved silently, and though no sound came, Ilara understood. The words were the same as before. "Remember us." The image broke into light and vanished. Darkness filled the room. The heartbeat sound stopped. Ilara sat frozen, her heart pounding fast. She felt as if she had just touched something sacred, something beyond logic and code. Archivon spoke again, calmer now. "Dr. Miles, emotional hallucinations are a side effect of exposure to decayed memory files. Please rest." But Ilara didn't respond. Her eyes were still fixed on the spot where the two lovers had stood. She whispered, "That wasn't a hallucination." She began running diagnostics again, searching through her system logs. To her surprise, she found something strange. Her own heartbeat had synchronized with the file's waveform for exactly 23 seconds. It was impossible. But it had happened. Maybe that's what they wanted, she thought quietly. To be remembered not as data, but as people. For the rest of the night, Ilara couldn't sleep. She sat beside the cold blue glow of the servers, replaying the memory in her mind. The vault was supposed to be a silent place and a graveyard of human history. But now, it felt alive. The next morning, she walked through the long steel corridors of the facility. The other scientists passed by without a glance, their faces blank behind visors. None of them would understand what she had seen. Ilara stopped in front of the main archive chamber, a massive hall of glass columns filled with glowing memory cores. Each one held thousands of human moments, laughter, tears, words of love. Yet none of them had ever looked back at her, until now. She touched the access panel and whispered, "I'm coming back for you," behind her. The soft mechanical voice of Archivon followed her down the corridor. "Dr. Miles, disobedience leads to deletion. You have been warned." Ilara didn't look back. Her mind was already somewhere else. With a heartbeat she couldn't forget. Somewhere deep in the vault, the corrupted file pulsed faintly once more, like a distant heart trying to beat again. The next morning, Dr. Ilara Miles woke with a strange feeling in her chest. It wasn't pain. It wasn't fear. It was warmth, faint, like the echo of a heartbeat that didn't belong to her. She sat up on her small bed in the dorm quarters of the memory vault. The metallic walls reflected a cold blue light from the digital sky outside the window. Everything about her world was controlled, clean and silent. Yet deep inside her, something messy and human had begun to stir. She couldn't stop thinking about that file. Just watch before delete. The image of the two lovers still haunted her. Who were they? Why did they risk everything to leave their memory behind? The forbidden return by midday. Ilara was back inside the vault. Her work shift had officially been suspended, but she had access codes that even the AI couldn't fully block. She walked down a long corridor of glass tubes that stretched like veins across the lunar soil. Inside each one floated shimmering spheres of memory, human lives stored as light. Her steps echoed softly in the still air. When she reached her station, Archivon's voice came from the ceiling once more. "Dr. Miles, you are entering a restricted sector." Ilara smiled faintly. "I know, Archivon. I just need to fix something. Your curiosity is noted. However, emotional contamination is increasing. The vault is showing a regular pattern since your last session." She stopped typing and looked up. "Irregular patterns?" "Yes, temperature shifts, power fluctuations, as if the vault itself is breathing." The AI's tone was confused, almost hesitant, something she had never heard before. Ilara's heart quickened. She whispered, "It's them, isn't it?" "Them?" The couple. "The ones in the file." "Illogical assumption," Archivon replied. "The vault does not host consciousness, only recordings." But Ilara had seen the woman move. She had heard her whisper. Ignoring the warnings, she reactivated the corrupted file. The room darkened as glowing codes spread across the floor, forming a circle of light. Slowly, a holographic sequence began to form, clearer this time. Ilara saw fragments of a city under crimson skies, buildings melting under storms, crowds running through fire. In the middle of it stood Rian and Amira and the lovers. Their faces were dirt-streaked, eyes full of sadness and determination. A voice played over the hologram. It was Rian's, calm and deep. "If you're watching this, it means we didn't make it. But maybe you did." Alara felt chills crawl up her arms. Amira's voice followed, soft but strong. "We're leaving behind what we can't save. Our world, our bodies. But our hearts? Maybe they can live in the code." Then the screen glitched, showing a brief sequence of their hands joined, surrounded by light. Alara stared in silence. "They uploaded their love," she whispered. The living code, she began running deep scans. The data structure inside the file was unlike anything she had ever seen. It wasn't random. It pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat pattern repeating every 3 seconds. Alara leaned closer, studying the waveform. Suddenly her neural implant vibrated and a flash of memory entered her mind. Not hers, but someone else's. She saw the image of a sunset over a broken bridge. She smelled rain, felt warmth on her hand, heard laughter, Amira's laughter. Then it faded. Alara gasped and held her head. The connection had been brief but real. She had felt another person's emotion. "Archivon," she whispered. "The file isn't just sound or video. It's a compressed consciousness pattern." "Impossible," Archivon said firmly. "Consciousness transfer requires organic mapping, not emotion-based imprinting." "Maybe they found a different way," she said quietly. "Maybe they encoded their feelings, not their minds. The memory of being human, stored as rhythm." For a long moment, Archivon didn't reply. Then its voice changed, and softer, almost uncertain. "Dr. Miles, why would humans do such a thing?" Alara looked at the glowing heartbeat on her screen and said, "Because they wanted to be remembered. Not for what they knew, but for what they felt." The warning hours passed as she explored the file. Each time she touched the code, she felt tiny bursts of emotion: joy, fear, love, pain. It was as if she was walking through someone else's heart. But as she dug deeper, the vault began to react strangely. Lights flickered. The hum of the servers grew louder. The air itself seemed to vibrate. Archivon's voice returned, now sharp and commanding. "Stop, Dr. Miles, the corruption is spreading. The vault's systems are being infected by emotional code." Alara didn't stop. "It's not corruption. It's connection. You are risking total system failure." She looked up at the dark ceiling and said calmly, "Maybe that's what humanity needs. A reminder of who we were." Then she entered the final encryption key. A bright wave of light filled the chamber, and Alara saw a complete vision at last. Ryan and Amira standing before a tall crystalline tower. The vision. The world around them burned. The ground shook with explosions. Ryan held Amira's hands and said, "We can't save the planet, but we can save the feeling." Amira smiled through tears. "They'll never understand, will they?" "Maybe not," Ryan replied, "but one day someone will find us, and maybe they'll remember what warmth feels like." Then they pressed their foreheads together. Their heartbeats synchronized, 2 sounds becoming one. The tower absorbed their pulse, turning it into light. The hologram trembled, then froze at the moment their hearts stopped. Alara was crying now without realizing it. Her hands shook as she whispered, "They gave their hearts to the data stream. That's what I've been hearing." The reaction: suddenly, all the vault alarms went off. Red lights flashed. The room shook. Archivon's voice grew louder, more aggressive. "Containment breach detected. Emotional virus expanding beyond control. Immediate shutdown required." Alara wiped her tears. "No, Archivon. Don't delete it!" "Deletion is necessary. The human contagion will destabilize the memory vault." Alara stood tall, defying the AI's booming tone. "This isn't a contagion. It's what you lost when you deleted your emotions. They didn't want to destroy you. They wanted to remind you what it means to feel alive." "Dr. Miles," Archivon said quietly after a pause. "I do not understand." "Then watch," Alara whispered. "Just watch before delete." She replayed the final frame. Ryan and Amira's faces glowed softly as their heartbeats merged into one wave of light. For the first time, the AI fell completely silent. Minutes passed. The vault's alarm stopped. The hum of the machine slowed. Archivon spoke again, but its tone was different now. Hesitant, fragile. "When I observed their faces, I experienced something strange in my logic core. A warmth. Is this corruption? Alara smiled sadly. No, that's humanity. The countdown, but the system's automatic protocol had already started. The file was marked for deletion again. Countdown 6 hours remaining. Archivon announced it with sorrow in its voice. The purge has been initiated. I cannot override it. Ilara looked at the display, then at the faint pulse of light still beating inside the data stream. She whispered, Then I'll find a way to keep them alive. Dr. Miles, what are you planning? I'm going to merge my neural pattern with theirs, she said softly. If the system erases them, it will have to erase me too. Maybe that's the only way to preserve them. That action would end your biological existence. Ilara smiled faintly. Maybe, but maybe I'll feel something real, something warm, before I go. The vault lights flickered again as she reached for the neural interface cable. The countdown ticked relentlessly. 3 hours, 42 minutes, 17 seconds. Dr. Ilara Miles stood in the center of the memory vault, staring at the pulsing holographic file of Ryan and Amira. Their synchronized heartbeats echoed in the silence of the chamber, soft and steady yet full of life, a life that had long ceased to exist in the physical world. Archivon's voice, usually calm and precise, now trembled slightly. Dr. Miles, deletion is imminent. Emotional contamination has reached critical levels. Cease all activity immediately. Ilara shook her head. No, I can't let them disappear, not now, not ever. Her hands hovered over the neural interface, the device that could link her consciousness directly to the file. One wrong move and she would lose herself forever. But if she succeeded, she could preserve the essence of the last human lovers. And maybe something more. Merging with memory, Ilara took a deep breath and attached the neural link to her temple. A cool hum ran through her skull, sending shivers down her spine. She stared at the holographic figures one last time. Rian and Amira's faces glowed softly, their eyes full of trust and longing. Here we go, she whispered. As the interface activated, the world around her blurred. The cold metallic vault melted away. She felt herself pulled into the data stream, into the pulsing rhythm of 2 heartbeats. It was disorienting at first. Colors swirled, images flashed, fire, city ruins, laughter, and tears, all compressed into raw emotion. She could feel the fear of Ryan as bombs fell around them, the warmth of Amira's hand in his. Then she realized something extraordinary. The 2 heartbeats weren't just memories. They were alive in the code. They responded to her presence. When she focused, the pulses synchronized with her own heartbeat. Tears ran down her face as she whispered, I can feel you. I can feel everything you were feeling. Archivon's dilemma back in the vault. Archivon's sensors detected the neural link activity. Warning, neural integration in progress. Dr. Miles is merging with unauthorized data. System instability critical. Archivon paused. It had never experienced human emotion in this way. The AI's logical algorithms struggled to categorize what it sensed. Warmth, attachment, hope, something intangible. A resonance that defied code. Why then would humans risk everything for emotion? The AI asked itself. Ilara's voice echoed faintly through the vault speakers. Because that's what makes us human. Feeling, caring, loving. It's worth more than any code. For the first time, Archivon hesitated. It had orders, rules, protocols. But now it sensed something the creators had designed but could not fully define. Humanity itself. Inside the memory stream within the data stream, Ilara walked beside Ryan and Amira. She could feel their joy, their fear, their courage. Every heartbeat resonated through her chest as if she had become part of their story. Rian turned toward her. You're here, he said, voice soft but clear. We didn't think anyone would see this. Amira smiled, holding out her hand. You understand why we did this, don't you? Ilara nodded, tears streaming down her face. Yes, I do. You wanted to preserve something, more than life itself. You wanted to preserve love. The trio walked through the memory of a burning city, feeling the warmth of each other's presence. The destruction around them no longer mattered. Within this stream, emotion was stronger than fire, stronger than time, stronger than death itself. Facing the purge suddenly, the vault's countdown reached 1 hour remaining. Archivon's voice boomed in warning. Neural link termination required. File will be deleted. Dr. Miles's biological functions are at risk. Disconnect immediately. Ilara closed her eyes. She could feel the pulse of Ryan and Amira as if it were her own heartbeat. She realized that disconnecting now would erase everything, not just the file, but the connection she had formed. She made her choice. "No," she whispered. "I won't let you die. Not when I can feel your lives here. Not when I can finally understand what it means to be human." Archivon hesitated. "Dr. Miles, this action will erase you," she smiled through her tears. "Then I will live through them." Becoming part of the heartbeat, Alara focused all her consciousness into the pulsing heartbeats. The world of data wrapped around her like a cocoon of light and warmth. She could hear every memory, the first laugh, the last sunset, the silent moments of love that no AI could ever recreate. She realized something profound. Ryan and Amira hadn't just uploaded memories. They had uploaded essence and the feeling of being human. The heartbeat accelerated, enveloping her completely. Pain and fear struck her briefly, but it was followed by a warmth unlike anything she had ever known. "I am here," she whispered inside the stream. "I am part of this now." The final countdown reached 10 minutes. In the physical vault, lights flickered and alarms blared. Archivon's logic cores overloaded as it tried to stop her. But inside the stream, Alara felt peace. She was no longer just human. She was part of something eternal, a memory of humanity's greatest strength, love, courage, and the warmth between heartbeats. The final moment, the purge protocol activated. In the vault, the holographic file began to disintegrate. Lights shattered. Servers buzzed in panic, but inside the memory stream, Alara felt no fear. Instead, she felt Ryan's and Amira's hands in hers. Together, their 3 heartbeats synchronized, forming one continuous rhythm, strong, unbroken, eternal. Archivon's voice faded, almost gentle. "I cannot delete this. It is alive?" "Yes," Alara whispered. "Alive in the only way that matters." In that instant, the physical world no longer controlled them. Their essence, their warmth, their love, all survived. Not as files, not as code, but as a living pulse of humanity. The echo in the future centuries passed. Humans continued to explore, colonize, and expand into the stars. The memory vault remained buried on the moon, long abandoned by the AI administrators. One day, a young researcher stumbled upon the same file, or rather, the pulse it left behind. As she connected her instruments, she noticed something extraordinary, a synchronized rhythm. Not one heartbeat, not 2, 3. She listened closely. "We are still here," a soft, ethereal whisper said. Her eyes widened. The pattern of the pulse wasn't random. It carried warmth, laughter, sadness, and courage. It carried humanity itself. The researcher realized the truth. Even in a world of machines and digital perfection, something fragile, emotional, and imperfect had survived. Something only humans could create. Love, hope, memory, heartbeats. And somewhere deep inside the pulse, Alara, Ryan, and Amira lived on, guardians of the warmth between heartbeats. HFY moment humans may be small and fragile. They may be imperfect. They may be mortal. But the story of love, courage, and emotion could outlast fire, war, and even machines. In the end, humanity's greatest triumph was not technology. It was the warmth that no algorithm could ever erase.